Hello and welcome back to the Connolly Motor Group podcast. I'm your host Dennis Finbar Cronin, and on today's episode of the show, I'm delighted to be joined by Mercedes-Benz Galway brand ambassador, blogger, and influencer Chloe Boucher to chat all about blogging, social media, and much, much more. So sit back, relax, and listen to this episode of the Connolly Motor Group podcast with very special guest, Mercedes-Benz Galway brand ambassador Chloe Boucher.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Connolly Motor Group podcast. I'm your host Dennis Finbar Cronin, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Mercedes Galway brand ambassador Chloe Boucher. Chloe, you're very welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited. It's my first podcast, so bear with me if I'm a bit of a rookie.
oh, really? You haven't done a podcast before? That's gas.
No, never. Yeah, never. It's the first one.
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of something that's come in over the last year or two. It's very popular now to do podcasts, and we're delighted to have you on the Connolly Motor Group podcast. Chloe, as I said there, you're a Mercedes-Benz Galway brand ambassador. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the car you're driving currently and maybe some of your favourite features of the car?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm driving the A-Class. I think it's the AMG spec as well, so it's unbelievable. I've had it now for I'd say about 5 weeks or so, and I absolutely am in love. It's just a fab car. Like, I obviously, being a girl, like, I am into cars, but I'm not overly fanatic about cars. But I think once you drive a car like this, you're like, oh my God, there's just no going back. I'm like, wow, it is fab. But it's a lovely car to drive, and it's nice size as well, because I went from a Golf, which is a smaller kind of car, hatchback, and this is still hatchback. So the reverse camera and all that, it's a dream to to park and drive. But I mean, there's loads of features on the car that I love, because I went from an older Golf model to this. So literally the features that have probably been new for years. I'm like, oh my God. But I think the automatic is the biggest thing for me. Like, it's a game changer. I don't know how I'm going to go back ever to a manual now. Like, it's just, I'm spoiled with this car. But yeah, the automatic is one of my favorite features. And also, I love the whole touch to start. It's the little things that get me, but it's so smooth to drive. It has like the heated seats. I mean, all the bits that you could need. So, but automatic is definitely my number one.
Yeah, I'd be with you there. It's very hard to go back after driving an automatic car, and I've driven the A-Class myself. It's a beautiful car to drive, and I suppose we're currently in a level of restrictions at the moment where you can explore the county. Where'd be your favourite place to take a spin to now in the car around Galway? Where'd be your go-to road trip destination?
Well, obviously I'm new to Galway. I only moved down here about a year and a half ago, which is probably the worst time ever to move to a new county, because I really have not had the opportunity to explore the place properly, even though I was familiar with it before I moved down. But last summer we went to Dogs Bay, and oh my God, like, I've never seen a beach like it, let alone in Ireland. So I'm keen to get back there this year. And I know there's a few other beaches along the way that are just as nice and like lesser known. So I keep saying to myself, I need to make notes in my phone of where I can actually go when I see people check into these places. But Dogs Bay is definitely the go-to place for me next. It's just, have you been before? It's like white sand.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's like the Caribbean if you go on a fine day, in fairness. Yeah, it's lovely.
So if I can find a little like hidden gem, would be amazing, where like less people kind of know, because you have to get down there early. Like, it was chock-a-block when we went. So yeah.
Yeah, you find that, especially kind of popular tourist destinations like that, you'll have crowds gathering quite early on. Yeah. And Chloe, I suppose when you are on the road, what type of music would you listen to? That was a question that we got sent in a good bit. Was they want to know, your followers want to know, and our followers as well, they want to know, what's your soundtrack like in your car when you're driving along?
To be honest, I'm the type of person, like, my Spotify, I could not leave my phone plugged in on a party, because it's a complete mixture. Like, I go from like R&B to like old school naughties to like Frank Sinatra. Like, it's a complete mix, and a few classical things thrown in there as well. But anything kind of upbeat, really. Like, I like to kind of belt out. There's a few like playlists on Spotify that I follow, like songs to sing in the shower and songs to sing in the car. So anything like that. You know, when you're in the car and you feel like no one can see you, and really on the outside, everyone's probably watching like, what is your one doing in there? But any old school belters, a bit of Whitney Houston or something like that is always my.
Yeah, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And I suppose, Chloe, as we have you on, we put out the question boxes we did the other day on our Instagram.
Yeah.
We got inundated with questions from people. And a lot of them were to do with the fact that you are a blogger, I suppose, primarily. That's your job. And I suppose for you, what's it like being a blogger in today's world? I suppose we've got other brand ambassadors, but we don't particularly have too many bloggers on. What's it like being a blogger in 2021?
Well, it's actually so different. Like I've been doing this for like the guts of 5-6 years, and when I started, it wasn't really that known. So like even if someone asked me a few years ago, like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know how to say it." Like I make YouTube videos, but now it's so known. It's like accepted as a career. You know, the kind of way it's someone's profession. So, I have to say I really enjoy it. Obviously, for someone like me with structure day to day, like even when I was in school, I absolutely hated the structure of it. So having that kind of freedom is such a nice aspect of the job. And just the kind of creativity of it, and being able to just kind of share what feels right for you. And there's so many different categories now with blogging, not just like beauty or makeup or fashion. Like obviously there's cars, there's gaming, there's everything, you know. I love it, I have to say. And I know like people go on about the market being like saturated, that there's so many bloggers, but like there is so many different categories, like I said, and also everyone's personality is so different. So there's room for everyone now. And I think that's what's great, is that anyone who kind of starts, even if you're starting from the beginning and you're thinking about beginning it and you're kind of put off, like you really just can go for it. Because I mean, I've seen people who just started last year, like in the first lockdown, and they're already like past 100,000 followers. Like there is no perfect time or too late to start. Like it is just a growing industry, really. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And even from a marketing point of view, I think a lot of particularly smaller Irish businesses now are probably investing in influencer marketing where they can, because they can actually see a tangible value in it. Whereas before it was kind of unknown quarters, whereas now it is definitely the way forward. And I suppose, how has lockdown impacted you, Chloe? Because like, I suppose a lot of the time people see bloggers, particularly successful ones like yourself, as going to all these VIP launch parties and all these kind of real glamorous lifestyle events. Yeah. But obviously they've been taken away from everyone. So what's it been like with COVID hitting?
To be honest, for me, it hasn't made much of an impact, because obviously I film and kind of create most of or majority of my content at home. So my day-to-day routine hadn't really been, you know, upset too much, bar the fact like I cancelled my family, which has nothing got to do with my job. Obviously events and stuff that had to take the hit, but I wasn't really one for going to too many events before. I know some people absolutely love them. I always kind of went to events with brands that I, you know, always stand by and like trust and use myself. So I wasn't really an event hopper per se. Like I wouldn't have gone to so many. So it hasn't changed too much for me. And that's the kind of beauty of this industry, is that like, you know, people before obviously the pandemic were able to travel. Even if you're abroad, you can still work. You know, if anything, it kind of helps your content, because it changes scenery, which is probably what's bad for me at the moment, is people are probably sick of seeing the same room the whole time, the same backgrounds. It can kind of like put a bit of a halt to the creativity. But yeah, it doesn't impact it too much, thank God, because I know obviously there's so many jobs that are really affected. My sister, for one, has to work from home, and she's cracking up where that's my dream. I'm like, if I don't have to go into an office, happy days, you know?
Yeah, well, I can feel with your sister there, because I'm working from home now the last couple of months, and like that, it's you do kind of find it hard to get into a kind of a normal routine, whatever that is. And Chloe, while we have you on, I'd have to ask you as well, I suppose when you are coming up with content, do you write down all your ideas, and have you a strict schedule you stick to, or is it a case of you kind of do what feels right? Have you got it tested out at this point?
To be honest, I am like the worst when it comes to structure or strategy. I know some people are like, they really treat it as a business, as I probably should. But I just find for me, it kind of gets in the way of my creativity and the kind of fun of it, really. So, and I just like to keep it really authentic. Like, and do what feels natural and what feels right, and really share what I actually want to share, as opposed to forcing content and something that isn't like naturally me. So to answer the question, no, I don't really have a structure or strategy. Usually I kind of will see something and I get inspiration from someone else, and that will kind of spark me to be like, oh, that's something new I want to try. But really it is just kind of, blogging is kind of sharing your day to day. Like, this is what I picked up. Here's a haul, well, with beauty and fashion and stuff. So I kind of just do what I'm doing, try to keep up with trends because I'm naturally interested in that, and then I naturally share it on. But I mean, I could definitely be a bit more routine, because with the social media, the more consistent you are, the better really it is, and the kind of more rewards you see from it. So that's something I kind of have to give myself a slap in the wrist for. I need to be way more consistent with my uploads. But you know, if you're going online, you're sharing your personality, it isn't something that you can kind of fake, you know, and just come on just for the sake of it, really. So that's kind of how I've always been. But yeah, no structure. I'm terrible.
Well, that's actually refreshing to hear, Chloe, because I do follow a number of bloggers online, and it's something that I see people talking about a bit more, is particularly about, I suppose, Instagram. They're saying like Instagram isn't a casual place anymore. And there's actually, I've seen a girl there from Cork recently start a campaign to make Instagram casual again. And it's something, I think social media as a whole has probably gone down the route of, it's always your best foot forward on it. And even that blurry iPhone photo that you took with your family, that'll never make it up on Facebook or Instagram anymore. Do you think it's changed over the years? Like, do you find yourself saying like, I need to get the perfect photo? Like, do you feel under pressure with your content to be a certain level of quality?
All the time, like all the time. As you said, especially like there's girls who I follow, not necessarily even in Ireland, but abroad. I feel like the standard is like crazy abroad. I don't know what like the US and UK even would have, like professional photographers and a full team around them. Like, you know, someone who's editing their pictures and taking it, make sure the lighting's right. There's me, my iPhone at home being like, oh God, I can't post this. This is awful. Like, so the comparison to that is really, it does kind of, especially with creative things, you always second guess yourself. And if you're ever putting something online, you're always like, oh God, this isn't good enough, with the added pressure of someone else who has amazing quality content and like that, a team behind you or behind them. It does kind of put you off sometimes. So I follow, I think like the number one blogger is a girl called Chiara Ferragni. She's an Italian blogger. And if you ever go onto her page, it's all from her iPhone, really casual pictures, nothing overposed. Obviously, she has a mixture of like campaign shoots that she does too. But it's really refreshing, and it's almost more inspiring for me, and kind of gives me more like enthusiasm to want to post and create stuff when I see it's actually like doable myself, as opposed to thinking I'm not going to have a team, like I don't have all this, you know. It puts you off. So yeah, I really hope it goes down a more casual route, but I suppose it's who you follow as well. You can kind of choose to keep it casual too if you want.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think you have to really kind of, especially nowadays, you got to curate who you're following as well. Because like that, if you're following someone and they're making you kind of feel a bit negative about yourself, or that what you're doing isn't enough, you should probably unfollow that person. And I suppose that leads me nicely onto my next question, was that I suppose, particularly in Ireland, and I suppose that's the only one I can talk about, but I suppose bloggers in general, they get a bit of a bad rep a lot of the time. Now, sometimes sometimes though it's deserved, but then a lot of the time, most bloggers that I've dealt with in the past have been fantastic to deal with. And I think there is a kind of a stigma against someone if you were to say, I'm a blogger. The bits I do online, I get a bit of a stigma because I'm a guy doing it. So I think, Chloe, like, how do you find that? Do you think it can be a very negative space? You've got these pages, the likes of, I think it's called Tattle Life or something, where there's people posting anonymously. Like, it's not good for anyone's mental health, in my opinion anyway. But how do you find dealing with that? Because I know that's a question that was sent in quite a bit, is like, how do you deal with the negativity that can be out there?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have, and you hear it all the time, but like a support system, a really strong support system around you. Because I think, to be honest, in any job, there's obviously going to be difficulties just with the whole blogging world and being online. You're opening yourself up to so many people, and everyone has an opinion online, and they're going to share it whether you like it or not, or whether you think they're entitled to or not. They think they are, so they're going to share it. And to be honest, I kind of take it with a pinch of salt, and I'm quite realistic about it. If I really avoid it a lot as well. And I've been actually very lucky, I must say, in my career to not have gotten a lot of it. I know some people really struggle with just abuse online. It is really abuse, and they have really struggled with it. And I've been quite lucky. I think, like anything, the more you give it airtime, you kind of breathe life into it. So I try not to even think about it. I never respond. I never post about it, because a lot of the people online, they want to get the rise out of you. That's like their main goal, really, and that's what they want. So if they're not getting that, they're going to get bored. It's like children almost, like they're going to get bored and give up and move on to the next person. And so I've never really given it airtime, but that's not to say it's never gotten to me. That would be unrealistic and like untrue for me to say. But I do take what I read and I'm kind of realistic about it and say, right, they have a point here. I actually agree with X, Y, Z, and kind of look at it constructively. Instead of just like too personally, and I'll kind of bring that forward and keep it in mind when it comes to like creating content and online. And then with other things that are just like ridiculous, I'm like, okay, look, this is just crazy, and these people don't know me personally, so I can't take it personal. And that's something that I try to remember. And then sometimes I just vent to my family. That always helps.
Yeah, a bit of venting is always a good cure for a lot of these things. And I think as well, like, to be honest with you, like from the outside looking in on these things, people are so quick to judge someone. You have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. And I think just because someone's looking really happy online doesn't translate into real life. And people are getting very, I think the lockdown definitely hasn't helped in a lot of cases.
Oh God. Not at all. I think everyone needs to go out for a longer walk than they're allowed, just go get the fresh air, get away from the screen. It definitely hasn't helped. But I suppose it's mental health at the end of the day. Like, it's obviously affects me and anyone who's in the industry or anyone online. To read things about yourself or hear things about yourself, it's going to affect you mentally in a negative way. But also the people who are writing them or like engaging in this kind of activity, it's their mental health as well that's struggling. So you have to take that into consideration. Although it's hard when you're reading things, sometimes you just have to remember, happy people don't, or not happy people who are in a good place don't, go online and talk negatively and bash people and, say certain things about people. So you have to kind of have a bit of empathy for them as well, which is really hard sometimes, but it is true. It's especially with the lockdown, like you said, people are crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think people need to be a bit more kind as well online. I know it's probably overused at this point. And Chloe, while we have you on, another question that was sent in a good few times as well was, how do you grow your Instagram? And I suppose something that I noticed about you compared to other bloggers I would have seen in Ireland anyway, is that you're very active on YouTube, and it's kind of an extra string to your bow anyway. You've actually more followers than that, I'd say, than any other platform. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, way more. I actually used to be way more active, and I just I think I uploaded one last night, because it's on my to-do list is to just get back into it, because I really do enjoy it. It is I really love YouTube as a platform. I love creating content, and you can be completely creative with it as well. It's not just pictures. I think video is more kind of engaging for people too, and you can kind of get your personality across as opposed to a picture too. But yeah, sorry, I've actually completely forgot the question there. What was it again?
Oh, you're grand. So the question was how do you grow your social media? I suppose this question was specifically Instagram, but I suppose you're active on both.
Yeah, so I know there's a million articles now about how to grow online or how to be successful online. People are probably sick of hearing the same things. And me and myself, I don't think there's a one size fit all. To be honest, I've seen girls who started last year, last March, and who are 100,000 plus followers already. I think the main thing is consistency, and that's something that I said I struggle with myself. But I do find the more consistent and the more active I am, you definitely see how much of an impact that has. But I also think that just being authentic, at the end of the day, although you're online and through a camera, people can pick up if something isn't authentic, and if something isn't real, or if it's forced and it's not enjoyable. Then I love watching people who, even if it's boring content, if it's them being genuine, it's entertaining to me, as opposed to watching something that feels forced and you're kind of like, oh no, I can't watch it, you know. But yeah, consistency is the main thing. Definitely collaborating with brands. But if you're just starting off, and obviously you're not working with brands yet, tagging them using their hashtags, and just repumping out the content. I know when I first started, like Inglot, I would tag them, all different American brands. I would buy a product, use it and do a tutorial with it, and kind of get out that way and be on their radar. And then that's how, if they share a picture, you're obviously getting all of their followers and their reach, and that's how you'll kind of get them back. Now, times could have changed since I kind of started. Obviously, there's probably like new techniques. I know some people just follow loads of accounts and then unfollow, which I don't know about that. I think that's more effort than what's worth. I think creating the content, you're getting both. You're actually getting the content and you're reaching out to brands. So that's what I would say.
Well, that's some great advice. And I think that is something that a lot of people need to do a bit more of, is kind of, like you said, like rather than maybe looking for a freebie, buy a product and tag them and then show them your value to them as an ambassador or whatever role you're going for. And Chloe,
Definitely.
just as well, while we have you on, I suppose another question that was sent in, this definitely wasn't one from a guy anyway. Well, not from me anyway. What is your number one beauty secret?
I don't even think I have any beauty secrets anymore, because at this stage, I think I have shared them all. And as soon as I get a new one, I'm just like, post it. It's not really a beauty secret, I would say, but just for me, like, tan is if I'm tanned, maybe because I have Irish skin, I'm just like, once I put on my fake tan, I'm like, I feel great. My outfits look better. I feel better, feel healthier. That's kind of like my go-to thing if I want a bit of a mood lift, or if I want to, make myself feel a bit better. It's not really a secret though. I mean, it's pretty evident I love my tan, but yeah.
I think that's something Ireland we don't get enough of, is the sun. So I think a lot of people do resort to the old fake tan. So Chloe, I suppose you're part of the Connolly's Mercedes-Benz Galway team as our brand ambassador. It's great to have you as part of the Connolly Motor Group, Chloe. And I suppose, what does it mean for you to be part of the Connolly Motor Group and then be our She's Mercedes brand ambassador for Galway?
Well, first of all, it's a career highlight for me. Obviously, it's an amazing company and family to be part of, and I'm just absolutely thrilled. Like, I'm really, really appreciative of it. It's definitely a high for me. And She's Mercedes, it's a global initiative to it's a platform dedicated to like inspiring, empowering women, and kind of creating a dialogue there for women's success. And yeah, that's obviously something amazing to be part of, and I'm absolutely honored. And yeah, like I said, it's definitely a nice start to 2021, and hopefully the year continues with just as many highs. But no, I'm absolutely delighted.
Well, no doubt it will, Chloe, and best luck for the year to come. No doubt you'll be up to amazing stuff. Thank you so much for coming on, and we can't wait to see where you head this summer in that Mercedes from Connolly's Mercedes-Benz Galway. So safe driving, Chloe. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Pleasure.